This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show, The World Ahead 2025, the latest cover from Economist magazine that needs to be looked at and debunked. Because every single year, if you don't know, The Economist releases a cover ahead of the new year, which shows us a lot of the stuff that they have planned for us. How does The Economist magazine know what is planned for us? Well, The Economist Group, who owns The Economist magazine, is owned by the Rothschild family. So that's how we know they actually are showing us what is planned for us. And that's how the universal law actually works, where they have to reveal everything to us ahead of time. This is also a form of magic that is being cast on the world. It is a form of spell casting. So at a glance, you can look at this cover and you could see some of the themes, some of the similar themes, always a theme of coming wars. You can see the political figures like Xi and Putin on the cover, which Putin's pretty much on it every single year. Zelensky. You also see the ups and downs, the stock market wave, and the digital currency plans that they always seem to work in along with stock market turmoil. But there should be some things that automatically, immediately stick out to you. And that is how Donald Trump is pictured directly in the middle of this, of course, right next to a missile. But above Donald Trump, at the very top of this collage, is the image of Saturn. And for those of you that don't know, Saturn, Satan, one in the same. Saturn symbolism is symbolism for Satan. This is the god of the synagogue of Satan, who they worship. Again, Saturn worship, seeing imagery of Saturn, is worship of Satan. Beyonce, magazine covers like Vogue, where she's wearing earrings of Saturn, depicting Saturn and Saturn's rings. Not coincidental. Adele, wearing earrings of Saturn, getting the tattoo of Saturn on her forearm on her 33rd birthday. This is all occult symbology. Miley Cyrus, getting Saturn tattooed on its body. Kesha, another demon who openly shows her allegiance to Lucifer, Saturn tattooed on its palm. Katy Perry has a tattoo of Saturn on her body as well. These are not people who are coincidentally getting the planet Saturn tattooed on their bodies when showing out in the open their allegiance to Lucifer. These are people who have openly admitted to worshiping Satan. They're not just getting it tattooed on their body because in high school science class, when they had to pick what their favorite looking planet was, that they picked Saturn. There is a reason that you always see Saturn symbolism, and these celebrities worship Satan. That is why they are marked with this imagery on their body. So Saturn sits at the very top of this entire collage that shows us the world ahead in 2025. And how convenient that right below it, as above, so below, sits Donald Trump. And how convenient as well that we see this symbol. Now you might say, what is this symbol that I'm looking at here? It looks like a Y with a cross going through it. Well, for anybody out there that doesn't know, in the occult, when you're baptized as a Satanist, yes, baptized. They are baptized just like Christians are baptized in water. Satanists are baptized as well. And part of their initiation into Satanism is to denounce Jesus Christ. And one of the things that they do is they're given a cross. They hold the cross upside down and they break the arms off of that cross. It looks very much like the symbol of the peace sign. In fact, that is what the symbol of the peace sign represents. I've broken this down many times over the years. The videos are available over on the website. That is the symbolism of the peace sign. It is a crucifix upside down with the arms broken off to denounce Jesus Christ. And that's what this symbol is here. It's the merging of the peace sign with the actual cross, which makes me wonder if there is actually going to be a major denouncing of Jesus Christ coming forward in 2025, specifically with what we're seeing with MAGA and Donald Trump, where Christians are getting the lines blurred so much that it's starting to look more and more like their allegiance is to Donald Trump over their allegiance to Christianity, or their allegiance, I should say, to Jesus Christ. That maybe they're actually going to denounce Jesus Christ in the future, not even realize it, by idol worshiping Donald Trump. We also see, of course, that infamous eyeball. You know, that eyeball that they're all obsessed with, the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, the eye of providence that you see on the back of the dollar bill, that you see every single celebrity over and over and over depicting on magazine covers, on photo shoots or in photo shoots that they do. None of which is done by coincidence. This is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. And of course, we see it right on the cover alongside Donald Trump, Xi, Putin, Zelensky, and Saturn, right? Because they're all aligned with each other. This is everything interconnecting is what you're seeing on this magazine cover. You even see another symbol of an eyeball where you could see a symbol for the atomic bomb, which could be hinting at potential World War III coming in 2025 with China, Russia, and the United States of America, who are all going to be aligned in this. Now, we also see a symbol of time as we see the hourglass beginning to run out. And that's what we're getting closer to. And it's not a coincidence either, because nothing is a coincidence on this cover, that we see that red fist at the bottom of this collage. The red fist, of course, represents communism. If you're not familiar with what they're trying to bring about, what all of these countries are doing working together is trying to bring about global communism. Global communism via AI governance and artificial intelligence, which is a theme in this collage as well. You'll also notice that, not coincidentally, strategically placed on this cover, right next to Donald Trump and that missile, is what looks like a syringe filled with a red liquid. Now, this could symbolize another pandemic potentially coming in the year 2025 with Donald Trump in power in America. It also could symbolize conservatism. It could symbolize the Republican Party, because what we're seeing now in Argentina, in America, is that they're strategically putting conservatives in power to bring about the AI governance and to bring about a surveillance state, because the common theme among the conservative parties is that we need immigration control. Well, that's only going to be brought about via digital ID and full-on surveillance. So maybe they're showing the red serum that the majority of people are taking because they've been gaslit into cheering and begging for conservatives to come into power, who are literally playing the role, the characters that they're playing, of dictators in a sense, even though the conservatives don't see that, who are going to change the laws and change the rules and take down democracy without conservatives even realizing it, because privacy, as we know it, will be gone. And privacy, of course, as we know it, isn't just being removed via surveillance. It's also going to be removed via the digital ID, which will be tied directly into that syringe, because they're going to want to know who's hooked up to the Internet of Bodies and who is not hooked up to the Internet of Bodies. And of course, you'll have to have nanotech inside of your body to be hooked up. So that's why that syringe plays a major part in it. Some of the other themes that we saw in that image is Jane Austen at the bottom, randomly there. Well, nothing's done randomly, but Jane Austen is considered to be a face or of the precursor of what is now the feminist movement, with a lot of the novels that Jane Austen wrote. So we could see another big trend towards feminism, maybe possibly with what we're seeing with Donald Trump. Obviously, since the fake election outcome, there have been a lot of these feminist movements that have been rising once again, where feminists are shaving their heads and they're refusing to date conservative men. Of course, the conservative men laugh. Then they say, oh, well, we're glad we don't want to date you anyway. We don't want to date liberal women. This is all part of the divide that they've created, the hysteria that they've created, where they're literally separating men and women. And when we talk about the depopulation agenda, feminism, that is one of the goals of the feminist movement, is depopulation via women and men no longer mating with one another. So there's many ways that the population can be depopulated without people realizing it. So another thing that we see is the electric vehicle. And you're going to start to see a shift, I believe, in conservatives pushing the green energy in the electric vehicle because it has to be pushed. It's just a question of how psychologically they can convince you into this. That is a role that clearly Elon Musk will play. Elon Musk is the face of the electric vehicle because the first thing anyone thinks about when they hear EV or electric vehicle is Tesla and Tesla's electric vehicle, which is supposed to be the standard for EV cars. Now, all these other car companies have adopted the electric vehicle, but it's not about them adopting it. They're all on board with it. They're all in on EV and the green energy agenda, which will control and monitor how far you can go, where you can go. Everything will be tracked. It's about convincing you that it's what's best for you. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this, but Elon Musk will play a huge pivotal role in doing this. So those were some of the themes that we see on the cover. We see images of rockets, electric cars, atomic symbols, which could indicate the transition to green energy and the threat of nuclear war, which is always a lingering threat. But the more you get people like Trump who play these characters and Putin in power, and the more tension you build up, the more likely it is that they're going to create lots of false flags around the earth, especially potentially in the year 2025. So we saw the clenched fist, which again doesn't just allude to protest, it alludes to communism, global communism. The all-seeing eye is obviously there, which doesn't just symbolize surveillance and a surveillance state and Big Brother. It symbolizes a digital security of mass control. It symbolizes the all-seeing eye of Lucifer through artificial intelligence, which is a big theme coming in 2025. And it's all there underneath everything you see going on underneath Saturn, right? What do people think when they see that with Saturn? What do people think when they see all these celebrities getting tattoos of Saturn on their body, performing bloodletting rituals with Saturn? Do they think that they're literally just big fans of the planet, that they loved it so much in science class in 6th grade that they got it tattooed on their body? Do people realize that these signs and symbols all go back and are rooted in the occult? These demons are showing you their allegiance to Satan. And Donald Trump being on that cover directly below it sums it up. Because the majority of conservatives out there who are taking that red serum, which is also displayed on this magazine cover, that red serum where they think that they're taking a red serum of truth, that they've been red pilled, don't realize that they are even deeper in the psychosis than the Democrats are. Because what's scary about it is they think that they're actually awake and aware of what's going on. And they're being led by the biggest Satanist of them all, Donald Trump. So that's The Economist magazine for the world ahead in the year 2025. And again, they do this every single year, and there's always a lot of symbolism in it that can be decoded. I'm sure there's other things that a lot of you see in this cover that I didn't see. You certainly can let me know in the comment section below what I may have missed. Obviously, it's hard to see every single image on that screen. I try to zoom in best I can on every image. But those are the things that stood out to me the most: the red serum, the communist fist, the upside down cross. Don't forget that symbol, which again could have dual meanings. Other people could interpret it a different way. When I see that, I immediately think of the satanic baptism, and it reminds me of everything that we see going on right now with Christians in the MAGA movement, where we can suddenly see, since that fake assassination attempt, with all the gaslighting over the last 4 years, how Christians are putting Donald Trump on the right up there, neck and neck with Jesus Christ. And all it's going to take is a little more tickling of the ears, lowering their taxes, their expenses, criminalizing people that they don't like to make them worship him even more than possibly Jesus Christ himself, and maybe even one day soon denouncing Christ like the Satanists do when they're baptized, without even realizing it, of course, because most of these people don't realize what is actually happening around them. So this magazine, again, The Economist, for anyone out there that's wondering, is owned by the Rothschilds, Rothschild LLC. And if you don't know, the Rothschilds pretty much run and control everything that's going on. We could talk about BlackRock, we could talk about Vanguard, you could talk about all these private investment companies. The Rothschilds sit above all of them. The Rothschilds are the ones who brought in the Balfour Declaration, which established Israel as a state. They're the ones who are behind it. That's why when we talk about the synagogue of Satan, we look directly at the Rothschilds and who owns the majority of that land over there and why it's so important to these wicked satanic families like the Rothschilds. We're told this in the book of Revelation. There will be those who claim who are not, who are of the synagogue of Satan. And these are nothing more than Satanists who are practicing their craft on you by revealing these things to everyone, knowing that the majority of people can interpret it one way and the majority of people will interpret it the other way. But the overall majority of people do not look at signs and symbols. They do not look at magic as being real. Even the Christians out there, they think that this is all coincidental. And somebody just said, I'm going to put all these things together. Trump and an eyeball and a syringe and a missile. And oh yeah, I'm going to put Saturn at top. And nobody's going to think twice about it. And they're right, because the majority of people won't think twice about it. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.